Hello everyone, I'm the MLP Connoisseur.
And I'm Filmsparks.
And we are doing the thoughts/review on Spice Up Your Life, aka the 12th episode of the 6th season of My Little Pony Adventures Magic. We'll try and go in order of the episode. If not, we'll just pull out what we like, what we disliked, and such. A lot of talk about. I'll just say generally, because this is on the spot. This isn't scripted or anything. It's more of a
yeah, I know.
It is more of like what's it called? Like a podcast. I'll basically say that, I think that this episode is definitely not such a strong one for the for a mid-season finale. I like that they brought back the map, and I bet that caught a lot of people off guard because we haven't seen the map in a while, and we've been doing friendship problems, and so it's I don't know. I wouldn't say it's pointless that we have the map, but I'm sure that they'll be using it a lot more in the next half. So because why else would they be doing this if they weren't intending on using it? It's nice. It's for a mid-season finale. It's certainly not as good as the Princess Dream of Magic sheet because this is not a group participated episode. It's just Pinkie and Rarity. We had Starlight at the beginning and all. We had everybody around the table, but and Spike and all. But in the end, it's just Pinkie and Rarity. So not as strong as for a mid-season finale.
No, it is. It isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So far for this season, there are some strong episodes and some weak episodes. Most weak episodes,
mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved the morality of this episode,
mm-hmm.
and we'll get to that like close to the end of this afterthoughts.
Yeah, no, we'll get into that. But after the beginning, introducing the map and Rarity and Pinkie Pie go into the town, we see, of course, how the restaurants there are basically the same and the same food. They're just slightly different based on the color and designs of the waiters and everything. Yeah. And it seems that the food isn't again, we can't say that Rarity and Pinkie didn't like it. Everyone else must hate it.
But basically, the job of Critic is to basically give off to give your professional opinion,
mm-hmm. and that makes you more valued and more sought after in terms of praise because that's when you become a figure.
But you also, I think that in order to be a food critic, you have to have an open mind about certain foods.
Mm-hmm. It seems that obviously the standard, there's a single standard, at least in this episode, in this town of Canterlot. Hopefully it's not the entire Canterlot. But, the fact of the matter is that obviously we can't say that just because Rarity and Pinkie Pie didn't like it, that everyone should change. But, it seems that a lot of other ponies might like it. Basically, Zesty gave the seal of hoof of approval and all, and therefore sort of raises these restaurants' status in her mind. And obviously she's well known enough that other ponies want that, and they do want, a seal of approval, at least until the end. Because, I don't think it was strong. I know that the moral, basically being, you can't force others what to think, that's basically the moral. And also, working together, because, we saw in the end how the father was reminded how fun it was working with the daughter, because we saw in the beginning that they were sort of arguing with each other.
It was a really sweet moral.
I agree with that. However, it sort of is out of the blue because it's are ponies sort of this foolish that they're not going against I don't think every single pony likes the food at these restaurants. Exhibit A being Rarity and Pinkie Pie. And, they don't have different taste buds than other people, than other ponies. So, what I'm getting at is that I basically think that the moral is good in terms of you can't force others what to think, but what they're using the moral based off of isn't good. Of course, not everyone's gonna like food, and even if one pony says that it's good, that automatically everybody's taste buds rearrange and they like the food. It might be more sought after, but it doesn't make it taste better.
Yeah.
I do, of course, love the standout design of the Indian-style restaurant and characters.
I loved it. I loved about how colorful it was.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how very Indian inspired it was. It was a really nice introduction to Indian culture and the MLP world.
I'll agree with that. I like the colorful nature of it. I like the voices of the two new characters, especially the female.
And I love their design.
Also with the Taurus ponies, I love the love the female. Really don't like the male with those eyelashes, but nice female design. And, you know, even Zesty's voice, right? Like, you know, of course, she's gonna have that sort of, like, you know, Critic voice.
Typical Critic voice.
Yeah, but, like, you know, sort of like Ego, except female. But, like, you know, it's you know, appropriate. It's fitting.
That is I never realized that is a female Ego from Ratatouille.
Pretty much is, the fact that she said, like, you know, basically, impress me, is basically what Ego says, like, you know, where he says, like, you know, I'll be having, like, some, perspective. Like, you know, basically the equivalent to that. You know, so I don't mind Zesty as a character, although Zesty portrays a generic standard.
I wish that she would have at least tried the food.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking, like, when the soup spilled on Zesty, that she might have, like, licked it off, and all of a sudden have been like, oh my god, it's so good.
Again, I mean, I loved the design of the restaurant.
I love the design too. Of course, before Rarity changed it. Let's talk about that, right? Okay. Now, Phil, I'm going to try and calm you down a little. Obviously, you're allowed to have your opinion, but I hope you see that Rarity wasn't doing the wrong thing. They're both doing the right thing in their minds. Because again,
yes.
Think of it from the perspective of Rarity. Canterlot right now has a critic that's well known and admirable, and other ponies are living up to her standard.
And her standards is a very specific way. I get that.
Yeah, and again, obviously, Rarity and Pinkie Pie don't really like the food and all, which is why Rarity, in the end, like, you know, agrees with Pinkie Pie.
Rarity and Pinkie did like the food, didn't they?
I mean, I know.
The Indian food. I mean.
Oh yeah, no, the Indian food, yeah, but like the Zesty's restaurant, like, approved foods they didn't find. That's what I'm saying. So that's why Rarity realized later on about that, like, you know, how the food is good. But what I'm saying is that in, like, you know, when Rarity was in this phase of, like, you know, wanting to change it, and Pinkie Pie was in the phase of promoting its originality, they're both in the right. Obviously, in the end, Pinkie Pie was more on the right, and I think most people who watch the episode are going to agree with Pinkie and are going to agree that Rarity was in the wrong. But Rarity wasn't truly in the wrong because of the fact that she was doing what she knows every other pony was living up to.
I mean, what Pinkie was doing was basically the same thing that Rarity was doing, but except they didn't really follow her because I think Canterlot is really racist, and they don't really trust the words of an Earth pony.
Well, I don't think that the writers ever meant for that, okay? And I know that even though Zesty pointed out the travelers and the tourists, and the tourists were Earth ponies, I don't think that was really planned. I understand that the ponies in Canterlot are unicorn, and they do think that they are, like, you know, better than than others.
The unicorn's the master race. I'm saying it right now.
No, I know that. I know that that's their attitude, and I'm not saying they're not racist. I think that they are being unfair, but I don't think that they're being unfair because they're Earth ponies. I think they're being unfair because they're not Canterlot origin. If you had an Earth pony or a Pegasus that became well known in Canterlot or something, or was born in Canterlot, I think that they would treat them like their own. I don't think that it's unicorns. I think it's Canterlot.
Oh, I get it now.
Because, like, you know, because even Zesty was pointing out Rarity, saying, like, you know, you can judge hats, but you can't judge, like, you know, clothing. It's not like, you know, you can judge everything. And the thing is that, in a sense, Zesty could have refuted what Rarity and Pinkie Pie were saying by basically saying, oh, you're telling me not to tell others how to think. Well, Rarity, you're telling others how to think with clothing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know Rarity doesn't do that because that was the whole point of the princess dress, is basically setting a standard. So that's, and I just thought of that off the top of my head. That's a great similarity because we know that they're not doing that. They are selling original dresses. But the fact of the matter is that they're not both in the wrong. Yeah. However, towards the end, you could see that Zesty was in the wrong. So now you can see that Pinkie Pie was in the right. But their thinking was not wrong.
Yes.
I think that that's something that a lot of people who watch the episode might not see, and that's why I'm glad I brought it up, because I hope to hear from anybody watching. Because I'm willing to bet that a lot of you, and I'm talking to the people who are watching this video, I bet a lot of you watch this episode and immediately are thinking, Rarity is doing the wrong thing, because, I mean, like, you know, this is what Film was thinking, and again, that's fine. That's what the writers might be trying to make you think, is that, oh, Rarity was in the wrong, and, like, you know, Pinkie Pie is obviously in the right.
I know her heart was in the right place.
Exactly, that's what it is. You know, she's not, and what I like about this is that Rarity and Pinkie Pie weren't really fighting with each other, it was more the daughter and the father, but even so, they knew that what they were, they agreed, even if they didn't say it out loud, they knew that the other one was thinking the right thing.
Yeah. Agreed, disagree.
Mm-hmm. Basically that. Like, you know, it wasn't like, you know, like, oh, my way's better, no, my way's better, well, why don't you see my way, why don't you see my way, like, you know, that's why I was thinking that in the end the restaurant was going to be like Octavian Final's house, it was going to be half the generic and half the original.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, basically to recap, the moral was good. The way that they went about doing the moral was pretty good, because the first half of the episode was establishing that Zesty has a standard in Camelot that
I was just curious about something.
Hmm?
Those characters look somewhat kind. I mean, do you think that remember the land? The landlord and the daughter from the review episode from
Sour Review.
They just look similar. It's the landlord's daughter looks sort of has like the same sort of color scheme as the daughter in this episode.
Color scheme, I guess. Main body color, yes. Hair color, no. But I see what you mean. Also, attitude-wise, heck no. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But what I'm trying to say, basically, is that, you know, the moral was good. The moral progression was good because the first half of the episode, they were basically trying to establish that Zesty has an attitude in Camelot that other ponies are agreeing with and are using as sort of like a standard. And then the second half was sort of like, you know, deterring from that and saying, oh, maybe, like, you know, Zesty is doing more than just setting a standard, but sort of forcing others to, like, you know, have that standard or else they're not good. And, like, you know, emphasizing you can't tell others how to think.
Okay, yeah.
And the animation, I think... Okay, I'll say the animation was pretty good. At the beginning with Twilight and Starlight's magic, and, like, you know, the facial expressions were pretty good. I loved
the magic effect.
Mm-hmm. And the facial expressions throughout the episode were pretty good as well. And
in terms of background pony design, my favorite particular one would have to be the painter pony, because she was different.
Mm-hmm. The problem that arises, though, is that... in terms of character development, right? Like, yeah, okay, Rarity and Pinkie Pie grew as a character because Rarity got to learn the lesson mostly. Pinkie Pie helped show her that, and Pinkie Pie sort of grew as a character just by helping out and, like, you know, doing what she thought was right. But the main problem is that, again, sort of like Flutterbrudder, where do we go from here? When are we going to see these two ponies again in the restaurant? What problem would they have? Like, you know, how would we involve them again? Because, like, you know, Coco Pomel and Siri Polomare were a friendship problem before the map happened. That was when they were trying to get the keys. And Coco Pomel, it comes back. Coco had her own episode where she really had a problem. I don't see how we can bring these two back. What problem would they have?
Yeah.
That's something that I think that we should leave off on for the viewers to answer. If you think you have an idea, and I mean, I'm legitimate, like, I'm confused, like, what would they have? I mean, I guess that's pretty much about it in all honesty.
Yeah.
I would probably say this episode is like another 6, 7 out of 10. You know, definitely not as strong as last season finale, in my opinion.
And I personally give this episode, maybe 7 or 8 sparks out of 10.
Mm-hmm. I'd say something like that. Anyway, I think that's about it. Once again, if you want to share your thoughts, we'd love to hear them. I'll certainly be checking the comments. Film, I hope you do it as well. And, like, you know, if anybody comments their thoughts.
I will. And I don't. And to all who follow me and subscribe to me, I'm sorry I don't have an episode review up yet. I mean, it's been 3 years, but I'm finally getting close to actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when it will be up, but I assure you, it will be a few episode reviews will be up soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when, but hopefully soon.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you should check out Film. The links to his channel and DeviantArt will be in the description below. I think that's a bit.
Also, but I assure you, I do my own vectors, and I'm a vector artist. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anyway,
I don't think there's anything else to say. I of course enjoyed having you to talk with Film.
Yeah. So next time on Game Grumps.
Yep. Next time on Game Grumps, which won't happen for another few months because no more ponies. No, it's so sad. No. Why would they do this during summer, especially when they don't have anything new?
I think that they will have the mid-season premiere when BronyCon happens.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway,
I can wait. I mean, this gives me more time to set up my reviews. But anyway, so like I said, next time on Game Grumps.
Yep, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.